I'd like to welcome you to your first ever live video feed, uh, or whatever this is called for YouTube. Uh, New venture for me. Just trying to see how this works. Um, the subject here, what I like to talk about, has to do with Kingdom of God, um, and some of the misconceptions people have about it as far as its timing. Um, a lot of people still have this notion that it is something to look forward to, something that's yet in the future. However, I'm reminded of something that Jesus Christ said while on the earth, and he spoke to those religious leaders of his time and said something to the effect of that if the things that he was doing were of God, then the kingdom had already overtaken them. And I believe that the kingdom of God did actually overtake the world at that time. And Jesus Christ was simply the spearhead of that movement with the apostles and first century disciples um, following his lead. The gospel went out and began immediately having an effect on the men and women who heard, and they converted. They became warriors, Christian warriors. Um, their fight wasn't physical. It wasn't to fight the Romans or Greeks or anybody like that in a physical battle. It was more elevated than that. Just as God's thoughts are higher than men's, this fight was higher, more elevated than men and than our thoughts, men's thoughts. And so the kingdom has been around for over 2,000 years now. That's basically what I'm getting to. There is no Armageddon, Armageddon in the future. You've heard all your your life that there's some future Armageddon that's right around the corner, and that it's going to overtake the world, and only those who are um, of a particular religious denomination will survive. Well, I'm here to tell you right now that that is not the truth. That is not the truth from God. So when Christ came, he began a work that would continue on throughout that generation, and then the end came. Armageddon came. Actually, it did not come. Armageddon, or Armageddon. Megiddo is actually a place, and that is where the military forces met before. This is where they gathered before going down to Jerusalem and laying siege to it. Now, some people are going to say, well, this is more than about Jerusalem, the destruction. Of course, it's a lot more to it than that, but it's part of it. It's part of it. It's a big part of it because they were significant in this, and that can't be taken away from them. God's kingdom. Jerusalem was the capital of that. Um, in the past, but now he was showing that he had left them. They left him first, and so he in turn left them. He sent the prophets, he sent his son. They did with him what they wanted and crucified him. And for that, God had to take him out. So, this will be the conclusion of this brief live stream. I just wanted to see how all of this works, and perhaps I'll try this again at a later time. Have a good night.